Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. I know I certainly did. Yes, right. So, what are we doing today? Let's do a quick recap of where we got to on Friday. Yeah, Friday it was. Which was doing the artifacts. We were making some artifacts. Artifacts of what? Artifacts of the planning process. What's the planning process? This was the planning process. Here we go. This was the planning process. So, yeah, we got to generate artifacts, and we're generating artifacts that can be consumed by a report generator to make a nice, pretty HTML report, or a pick and place machine to allow it to place components. As part of the generating artifacts, we needed to create like the list of placements for the machine, and then also the list of the processes and the phases and the feeders that you need to load, and the part numbers that need to go in each feeder, and so on. So we got that done. However, we also added the quantity as well, the quantity of the parts required that you're going to need. However, I did notice something on Friday afternoon with the quantity side of things, in that if the component is not supposed to be placed, as in it's got the place flag set to false in your EDA export files, then obviously you shouldn't count that as something that, as a placement that counts to the quantity. So I fixed that. That got done. Which was this little commit here, which is a nice, happy one-line code change. Yeah, that got done. And then also on Friday, we were struggling a little bit with sort of like the amount of test data that we had. So we sort of needed to make sure that our tests had a little bit more data in it. So what I did on Friday afternoon was, where is it? Yes, update the test so that it has R3, which uses the same part as R1, which means that then has an impact on the amount of total parts, as in it shouldn't add an extra part, but it should increase like the quantity field, and it has other impacts as well. And all the tests still passed after this, which was good. But we also needed to add in the appropriate asserts and so on for all these new additions. And then when we change it and set the phase for it and update the placement that we've got recorded and all this kind of thing. So we got all that done. Yeah. One of the other things that came up though on Friday afternoon was, let me see if I can remember what it was. It was the, we were doing the phase operations, yes. Phase operations to the project report, which was fairly tricky. Let me just bring up the list of things again to remind everybody. Here we go, where is it? Workflow steps. So in our list of things that we said that we want to generate, in the artifacts list here, we had PCBs to load, and list of phases and was it that? Yeah, list of operations for each phase and PCBs to load. It turned out that was actually fairly tricky because we didn't have the notion of a PCB. So I had to add in another step which details like adding a PCB to the project. So we had the notion of like, where are we? We had the notion of like a unit, but we didn't have the notion of a PCB as a whole. So we couldn't tell the difference between like a PCB unit that was part of a panel and how many separate ones there were. I suppose you could look and go through like the list of unit assignments and then work out the list of PCBs from it. But instead of doing that, we actually define the PCBs that we're supposed to add into it, so that when you're generating your artifact report, you can say load this PCB in it, as opposed to load some unnamed panel in it in the machine. Because if you had two panels and they had different unit assignments, you wouldn't know which panel was which. You know, if they were different panels, for instance, you wouldn't know which was which. Which is more for sort of like manual placement, but yeah. So we added a new step in, so that had an impact on some of the other tests. Let's have a quick look. Where was that? Yeah, planner. So the first thing that we did was create a job. The next thing you do once you've created a job or project is to add a PCB to it, and then you assign the variants to the units. So this is the way it goes. And the add PCB, it literally just takes the type of a PCB, the kind of a PCB, as in is it a panel or a single, and you give it a name, and that's it. And then when you're generating the artifact report, you can then have a list of PCBs and the unit assignments that go with that PCB. So in the generate artifacts, we've got a test now which says with phase specification, content report, yes, so the phase specification now contains the list of operations, which is prepare PCBs for a panel with a name of panel A, which has these unit paths, and if there was more than one unit path for the panel, which there normally is, then it would have a list of them, and then it would tell you which was which, as in design A, variant A, which design variant was assigned to that unit. So it gives you a list now, which is great, and that works. We can see that running, and what it looks like somewhere around here. Let me bring that up a bit. There we go. So we have this phase specification section in the expected bit. So that's what we get. So phase specification, phase name, top one, operations, prepares PCBs, which PCBs, this panel with this name and these unit assignments. Jobs are good. This was fairly involved doing that, because the way that we set up the project, let's have a look. The project file. So we have our definition of PCBs, which we have in this format that's easy to iterate over. And we have our list of unit assignments. But these are separate from these. So you have to basically try and work out which is which. What belongs to what. Which is non-trivial, it turns out. And you also have to look at the placements to find out which unit assignments are part of this phase, and then once you've got the list of unit assignments, which you get from the unique unit assignments for ref deses for placements that need to be placed, once you've got those, then you've got a list of unit assignments, then you can look up the unit assignments, and the number here, as in this one here, refers to the index into this list of PCBs. Somewhat tricky, but it got done, and everything's fine. Well, we hope it got done, because we don't really have much test data in our functional test really, because we only ever spit out one. So we probably need to do some unit tests for this at some point. But we're still focusing on the big picture, which was this. Now, what's next to do? So this live stream is titled Status. So what we're trying to do is some of this check status stuff. And also the artifact list here has status in the artifacts. So we've got to work out how it is that we're going to do this, and what kind of status things there are. So I suppose perhaps let's make a list of the things that we need to know the status about. Let's have a go at this. So what could not be done? Let's try and work that out. Well, I suppose no phases created could be something that's not been done yet, or no PCBs added. That's because that's the first thing. No phases added. There, you could have a placements file for the design variants. No phases added. No design variants. Let's have a think. Can you have it such that you add a unit without assigning a variant? No. But if you added a PCB, you would know how many units there were in it. So technically, yes. So I suppose no design variants are assigned to a PCB. That kind of makes sense. What else could go wrong with the list of things that the user needs to do? Assign placements to phase. So I suppose you can have a phase with no assignments. I'm not sure whether that's a valid one. Because there can be different types of phases, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. At the moment, we've got sort of like only two sort of like processes that we deal with, but at some point in the future there'll be other processes, and they may not have any sort of like pick and place operations, for instance. Yeah, not sure about that. What else can happen? Let's look at this. So you've got a list of placements, and for the job to be complete, you need to assign all of the placements that are listed, and that are supposed to actually be placed to the loadouts in the job. So I guess placements I suppose we can just say unassigned placements. And then all placements should be assigned to a phase. Yeah. Right. Then what? Let's have a look. How else can this go wrong? The loadout. Yeah. So with the loadout, you could have not assigned feeders to the loadout items. So loadout items without feeder reference. Okay. That can be a place where it can go wrong. Can it go wrong before that? What about the output from like the assembly variant thing? Should we deal with the status for that here? Or should that be its own thing? I kind of feel like that should be its own thing, because you basically work out the design variant, you fix up things, you add your part mappings and all that kind of stuff, and that has its own sort of like, everything's fine now. We've included everything. Yeah, we'll skip that. Probably should be managed separately. Placement ordering for each phase. I mean, there can be a default placement ordering. It's basically just like everything's equal if you don't specify any fields. So that's probably impossible to do. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the list. I guess we've got this record placements which have been placed. So there's like a pre-phase running status, and then like there's an ongoing status as you start to place components. But let's do the pre-run status, I guess. Let me go back to the list. Let's say pre-run status. And let's say mid-job status. And we'll say all unplaced components. That's probably it, really. Maybe there's more, I don't know. We'll find out. So, yeah, no PCBs, no phases, no design variants assigned, unassigned placements, and load items without feeder reference. Now, how do we want to display this status, though? How? So, if we're doing a report, like an HTML report, like we said we are, then maybe you want to put like little red boxes next to the things that you're printing out in your report. So let's have a look at what the report looks like and where we can perhaps fit these statuses into the report. That seems like a reasonable approach, I suppose. Okay, so generate artifacts. So part of the thing that we generate is this report. So let's pull this out. And can we create a scratch file? File, new scratch file. Can we have a JSON file? Yeah. There we go. So this is our current report for this thing. We also have the list of placements, which is the CSV file. Where's the CSV file? Oh, sorry, that was here. Here. Can we create a CSV here? Yeah, we can. There we go. And this is our list of placements. So, right. Let's go back to the first thing that we've got. No PCBs added. Where would that fit? Yeah. In the phase overview, in the job overview, should there be like a status like bit up here? Should we have like a list of errors or something? Or just like some codes and then a message? Maybe. Or should we have like, I don't know, errors? Should we just have errors at the bottom? I don't know. Because like an overall thing, like no PCBs added. Or should we have like an issues? And then like a code and a message or something. And maybe some ancillary data which gives us sort of like a reference to the thing. Actually, that doesn't seem entirely unreasonable. So we can have, I don't know, what do we have? We could have like a code. And then for this we've got, not sure. Enums should probably be like no PCBs assigned, and then perhaps an object with a message, perhaps. I don't know. And then perhaps, why is it complaining about the colon there like this? I thought you could have that. Yeah. Object, thing, whatever. What's wrong with this? Why doesn't it like that? Yeah. It does need to be indented, doesn't it? Like that, I suppose. Let's just carry on with these errors, issues, and see if something nice comes out of this, or maybe see if there's a better way of doing it. What else? What's the next error that can occur? No phases added. I don't think there's any extra information about that one. We'll just put all the errors in here, and then we'll see what it looks like. I mean, I said created, added. I like the word created better, really. Yeah, it's probably a bit better. No design variants assigned to PCBs. And like, should there be like a severity here? So like some things, like you can't do anything until you fix this issue. Other times you can go, well, you know, if they don't want to assign a feeder to it, that's up to them, but it just won't get placed, right? And if they start the job with warnings or something like this, then fine, right? Maybe they don't care about the warnings. Then maybe they reviewed the warnings and went, it's fine, go. So I suppose you can have an acknowledgement as well, where you can say ignore and then run it anyway or whatever. Probably like something like perhaps severity. Severe, for instance, because you know there's nothing to do. You can't start some of the processes until you fix this. The same goes with this one, right? Let's have a look at the next one and see what that looks like. No design variants are assigned to a PCB. Well, technically it's a PCB unit. And you could have a panel which can have many units, and you might not want to place all the things on the panel. We don't have this concept of skips and all this kind of stuff yet either. We're going to need to add that really. At some point. No phases created. And then we said no design variants assigned to a PCB unit. Yeah. Yeah, this one's going to have like a reference now. PCB unit design variant unassigned, because we make assignments, so we'll use the same language. And if we say object or unit path, yeah, unit, because we've used this before. Do we use underscores? Yeah, we do. So if we said panel 1 unit 2, for instance, is unassigned, we can give it a message. Assigned a design variant. Sort of okay, I suppose. Severity. Now, if you've only got one if you're only placing one unit, then you could be in a state where there's nothing to do, but that'd probably be caught by something else. So maybe it's not as severe as the other one. Maybe we say warning on this one. Okay. Unassigned placements. This is probably a warning as well. And then what's this going to be? A placement exists that, well, a placement has not been assigned to a phase. And then object path. And we could say this would be something like panel 1, unit 1, ref des, let's just say R4 or something like this, right? And then this could be repeated for each placement that's not been assigned to a phase. So that's that one. Then the next one would be loadout items without feeder reference. Right. Unassigned feeder. Unassigned, well, it's not the feeder that's unassigned. I guess it's the part that's unassigned. Unassigned part feeder? Yeah, let's go with that. A part has not been assigned to a feeder. And then we say which part it is. I suppose something like this, you know. Something like that. And then, yeah, that's probably, oh, severity. Oh, we haven't got severity on this one. We need to put severity. This is probably a warning. And this is probably a warning as well. Now, let's deal with that. I don't know. We could think about acknowledgement now. So if imagine if you've got all these different statuses and you print checkboxes next to them, right? And you print this thing out. You're like, okay, I'm only going to start assembling this when I've checked all my checkboxes, right? So sort of like an acknowledgement thing. And if you said like generate artifacts and then it said errors exist and you would continue anyway, yes, you've acknowledged everything, right? Or you can have a list of it and you could tick each one off in the UI or something like that. So some kind of acknowledgement. Yeah, that's going to make things a little bit tricky because if you want to check the status like again, are you going to come up with the same list of errors and then check to see whether that's already been added to the list of errors and then see if it's been acknowledged? I suppose if you're about to add something to the list again, you know what to look for in the lists and then you can see if it already exists. So yeah, it's probably okay. You don't need some like unique identifier for each message or something like that. Is what I'm thinking. And then what happens to issues that have been resolved? Do you keep them? Do you just delete them? Do you just not put them in the report? Are they transient? Do you want to see the previous issues? I don't think you care in this particular thing. There's other places where you sort of care about issue resolving. I guess we don't need to worry about it right now. Okay, what else is on the list? That's it. Unplaced components, I suppose, but... yeah. Right, so we can have something that looks like that. Let's just save this file. Like where did that go? Okay, it went there. Okay, well fine, we'll leave it there. Now, so we've got an issues thing and it contains a list of stuff. So with our current project, in our sort of test thing, right, which of these issues actually applies to the project as it is at the moment? I'm fairly certain that there are some unassigned placements because of C1 not being assigned in our test. And there's also this one as well, I think, because here, look, we've got this R2, which has not been assigned to a feeder. So we can do two of these. We can do these two. And then if you try to generate the placements like before you'd done all the other things, then these could occur as well, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, so that's one way of doing it. This makes it easy to present to the user, I suppose, having a list of issues like this. And it helps with the workflow, having a list of things that you're supposed to do and then you resolve them one at a time. And this has been found to be the case with, say, for instance, the MakerPnP issues and solutions little dialogue thing that you get. Like another place you could do it is like, try and fit them into these existing things, but I don't think that really is the right way of doing it, because there's no real way to put some details of some unassigned PCB in a list of operations for a phase when you've not even defined a phase or there's no operation that the error could fit in, for instance, so that doesn't work. Yeah, we'll just go with like issues like this for now, I think. Like if you were running this and you generated an artifacts thing, and as you were doing it you printed error messages, for instance, or warnings or whatever, That's the same kind of thing as this, really. You know, you've got a file, and then you've got some extra information that was generated along the way, which is what sort of this is. But we just add that into the file. So it seems fairly reasonable. So I suppose what we're going to need to do is add asserts for these things to our test, and then as part of the artifact generation process, determine these issues exist, I suppose. All right, and then update the list. Yeah, why not? It's going to be interesting. Let's have a quick think. Let's have a quick look at the planner to see how this might affect things first. And yes, we need to do some refactoring still. So generate artifacts takes the project and it generates a report. Alright. So at the time, so from about here, you can have some issues, which, you know, I've not written a test yet, but this is sort of where it would go, I suppose. You know, that kind of thing. And this could be enums, right? Issue could be an enum. And then this will need to be like some mutable list, right? And I suppose when you're generating the report, you pass the issues to this report generation thing. So that works. So we'd update this to take a mutable list of issues, or just take the list of issues. Yeah. Report, and then at the end of this, we can, somewhere around here, we can add the issues to the report. Yeah, that's probably going to work. It's probably going to work. And then we can probably pass a mutable reference to these things to each of these different chunks that deal with doing the various different things. Yeah. Okay, that's going to work. That's going to work implementation-wise, I think. I don't know why this keeps coming up red here. I think our ID is confused. Let's clear its caches. Come on, don't be red. Come on. Come on. Just waiting for this to complete down here. Name resolution. Come on, you can do it. Indexing. There we go. What about some colouring? There we go. Right there. Let's figure it out. Okay. So let's say what the artifact should look like when there's errors. Expected project report content. Here we go. With errors, I suppose. With issues. Yeah. Somewhere around here. Let's go test issue. And for our test, we're going to have some unassigned placements. And that's going to have, no, not that. I'm supposed to be looking at this. Here we go. A message. Something like that, with a severity. Which we said is going to be a warning, and then it's going to have an object path. And this is going to be panel, yeah, well, okay, hold on. It's going to be similar to this, but not R3. I think it's like J1 or something. So J and C don't appear in this, but I can't remember which one we're supposed to be putting in it. So let's have a look at the previous test report. So C1 has not been assigned to a phase, and neither has J1. But the unknown components we don't care about. The known components we do care about. So we care about J1, which has that object path, which is what I wrote. Perfect. Happy days. So that's the first issue. The second issue is going to be, where's my list? A part has not been assigned to a feeder. Unassigned part feeder. Let's go with that. Then we're going to need a severity again, which is going to be a warning again. And we need the part details. Manufacturer. Now, which one is this going to be? This is going to be it's this one. Right, like that. And that's going to be our list of issues. Let's make that happen in the test code. Right, it's getting hot. I think there's extreme heat weather warnings here today. Is my fan going? My fan doesn't feel like it's spinning fast enough today. It's hot. Okay, so with issues. Well, we can't create this until we've created this, and we can't create that until we've created this. So let's do this. and it needs to be able to be serialized, so you know. Okay, so we're all good there. Yes, this next one's also an enum, isn't it? Pub enum test issue. And we've got two enum variants. Oh. Both of which need to be able to be serialized. Okay, and now it's complaining that it doesn't have fields. Okay, and they both have that list. Now, I'm thinking about maybe possibly poking this so that it looks slightly different to this. Because all messages have messaging severity. This is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking perhaps we have, instead of doing it like this, we have a test issue with a code, and the code is the enum. Like that. Maybe not code though. Test issue kind, perhaps. Yeah, this is probably what we want. And then this goes in here, right? Because you have to do special handling for this. Maybe we call it kind here. I don't know, what do we think? Do we care? Do we just add delegation instead, which will get... yeah, I don't know. And then you could say get code on each one, for instance, to get a code. I kind of feel like this might be better. I just have a hunch. I have a hunch. Let's make it happen like this instead. Like that. Let's change it. So we'll move that to that, and then we'll create a structure for the test issue, which will have a kind, which is a test issue kind, and then the message and the string, because this will reduce the repetition here. So it's probably better like that. Probably. So that means this one needs an object path, which is probably going to be better. Let's create a test part as well. Like so. Do these need to be public? Yeah. Oh. Add 2 string on those. Okay, so there we've got that. So now we've got a definition of the issues, but now we need to add those to the project report when we serialize it. So we need this. Let's see if it gets it right. Not quite, but close. We've got all these multiple impl blocks because of the IDE doing that. Let's delete those. There we go. We probably need to reorder some of these. Okay. And I suppose this, now we need issues here, I suppose. Which is going to be an optional vec of test issue. Perhaps. Missing type arguments. Where? Oh, well, yeah, I mean. Oh, this is supposed to be report dot. If I can type it right, there we go. And it compiles. Why it's complaining about this, I don't know. No field issues, but there is. So let's just delete it and put it back. IDE failure there. That was good. That was fun. Yeah. All right. Fine. So let's see how the test is failing. Expected. Some issues, yeah. It's kind of what we said, wasn't it? Issues and array. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And we should see that we have a missing issue block. Yeah, so we've got a failing test. So now we can poke the prod code. Yay. Let's go. Bin. Bin, 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 bin. So this is where we said we're going to do it. And we said we want to pass the issues over here. But we don't have an issue yet. And we've got this project report and it's got all these kind of things here. So let's put this down here. Pub struct issue. Should it be report issue? I mean, that's saying report an issue. Project report issue? It's less of a command name there, isn't there? Project report. Yeah, let's just go with project report, which is fine. It's a bit wordy. Okay, so we've got a list of these things. And we said we're going to have some things in it. One of which was the message. Another one was the severity. Which needs to be an enum. And we're going to have severe and warning. That's what we said. And these need to be able to be serialized. Okay. And then we've got this kind thing, right? Pub kind. And we're going to add all the list of things that can go wrong. Let's do that down here. This is going to be an enum. And the things that we said were issue, test issue kind. These. Like that. Which should look very similar, yes. Okay, so yeah, what happens now? I suppose we need to import it. No, we said project report issue. This is going to fail because of this thing. And we're going to pass the issues to it. And then this is going to own those issues. Yeah, like that. This is going to be mutable. In order to do that, this needs to be mutable, which is fine. Well, right. So let's try and add. Well, let's see if it's serialized. Let's see what we get right now. Right. Let's compare. Right. So good. It compiles and runs still, but we don't see the list of issues. So the first issue, we know that when we're building the list of placements that it's not been assigned. I think because we write this file, right, and we've got this feed reference in it, and this thing is empty here. Let's see if we can find where that happens. So somewhere we create an empty string. Load out items here. That's where we load them in. And this is where we generate our empty string. And this is the exact spot that that we could use to update the list of issues. We could update the list of issues sort of outside of this store placements as CSV. I think we probably should do that, even though it means iterating over the list of everything twice. So if we steal this bit of code here, and slap it in here, right? I mean, we've got these placement states here. This is, we're sorting them, we're iterating over them here, we're building them here. Perhaps we can do it here. Now, I kind of want to do it as a separate thing. Let's it doesn't matter too much. It's an optimization to combine them, but let's keep them separate for now, so it's just easier to work with this and refactor it a bit later. Yeah, so basically this is where we do something. So here there's nothing to do. Oops. And here we've got to add something to the issues. So I suppose project report issue, and it's going to have some fields, and the kind of issue is unassigned part feeder, and it needs a part, but we've got the part, which is the placement state dot placement dot part, and we need to clone it. There we go. And the message we said was in the test. Which was this one. That one. There we go. And we said it was a warning. Okay, now we've got to do something with this issue. And we don't care about the feeder reference. And apparently we don't care about the object path either. And we don't care about the loadout item if we've got one. And then we can say issues. We've got issues, right? Where's our issues? Where's our issues? I thought we had some issues somewhere. Right, I thought it was here somewhere, no? Generate phase artifacts. So I suppose we need to pass over a mutable reference to the issues somewhere here. Mutable vec, yeah. So now we've got our issue, we can create it and add it to the list. Now, can we find the same thing more than once? I don't think we can. No, because it's in the loadout, it's unique. People outside my house like failing to drive properly. Okay, so maybe that, helps it get a little bit closer to passing. Let's see what happens. We don't have it. Why don't we have it? Kind of thought that would work. Let's do a trace. Something like issue detected. Let's just do that. Why not? Should it be error? Yeah. Warning? I mean, if it's... Let's just go info. Project report issue doesn't have debug. Sure, we can add debug to this, which means we need to add debug to this and also to this. Let's check the log. It doesn't say issue detected, which is a bit weird because okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That's a bit odd. I mean, we don't do anything with these issues. We're going to need to add them to the report, I suppose. But we should still get that info log. But let's fix this since we just saw it. And we'll do that at the bottom, I suppose. Report.issues is issues, I suppose. Then what? Let's see if we have anything in the list. Well, we have this now. I suppose that's good. But nothing's in the list. Nothing's in the list. Why? I'm a little bit confused now. I'm confused because here, I know we have this empty string because we create it. Maybe maybe it exists in the loadout, but it's just not. Oh, I see. Okay, right, fine. Okay, we're going to borrow this again. I think I see what's happening. Let's do this. Let's do this. I think it can exist in the loadout without being assigned to a feeder, and when it's in the loadout it'll have a string which is empty. So it wasn't hitting this case, it was hitting this case, but the reference is empty. That's what I think is happening. Yeah. So now we've detected an issue. Yes. Happy days. Okay. So we've got one of our issues. Issue number 1. Done. Yeah, okay. Alright, we can probably do a commit at this point. Let's have a look. I suppose in our test, if we updated our test so that it didn't have this, it should pass, right? Yes, indeed it does. It doesn't yet need to be mutable, so that's okay. Okay, so let me just keep this bit of code that I've got, because we're going to need to put that back in a bit. Right, let's do a commit. What do we do? We add issues to project report. And I suppose add, well, create issue when part is not assigned to a feeder. So we've got the issues and we've got a specific issue. That's how I'm sort of thinking about that. So we've got the planner, we've got the report builder, and then in the prod code we've got the issues, and we add to it, yeah. We add it to the list at the end, make sure it's in the project, define the things that can go wrong. I suppose also the issue kind doesn't need to have this yet, so let's just pop that in there as well. Okay. Seems okay. Oh, that was supposed to be in there. Okay. So if we go back to the planet and then undo the deletions, and then in the test undo the deletion, now we can work. Now we can concentrate on this one, right? Yeah. So now let's deal with this. A placement has not been assigned to a phase. Okay. Yeah. Where can we add that? Phase artifacts? No, it's not for the phase. We need to iterate over all of the placements in the project to do this. Yeah. Again, I think let's do this separately again. Let's go for placement state, project placements, I suppose. Yeah, this is one of those things where you could sort of do a filter map and create a list of issues and then add it to the end, I suppose, couldn't you? Yeah, I suppose we can do that, you know. Let's go. Let's go filter map. And we'll return some issue if there's an issue for this placement. That seems fairly reasonable. And let's just go none here for now. And what's this going to be? This is going to be a vector of issues. And I think we go issues, we go dot extend with placement issues. No, we go issues dot extend placement issues, and then we add that as we did before. Something like that. This needs to be mutable now. I've got to put that back as it was. There we go. So now this is where we can look at the placement state and the object path. Which is a tuple struct. Okay, all good. So we can say if placement state, what are we trying to do? Placement has not been assigned. Right. So if the placement states phase, oh, and I suppose we can use this matches. If matches none. Well, the thing. Should we use this matches there, or just go if let? No, because we don't need to use the sum if it's there, do we? What is this project report issue? Let's do the kind first. Unassigned placement, yeah. And this needs the object path, which we've got here. Which is good. And in the message, we said this. And it's moaning about something. What's it moaning about? Oh. No, I don't like this. I don't like that. Let's just go match. Let's do it like this. It's just going to be cleaner. So if it's none, then you return some. If it's some, the thing that you don't care about, then you return none. Because there's no error. Yeah, like that, I suppose. Clone. This is a string. So should this be a string? This shouldn't be a string. This should actually be an object path here, I think. Okay, let's see what happened. Okay. Are they just in the wrong order? I think they're just in the wrong order, right? Yeah, they're in the wrong order. Oh, and then we need to do the Serde as thing on this as well. That's fine. So when we're serializing, this, we need to use this Serde as thing on the object path. Which I suppose needs to go here. Hopefully. They still won't pass because they're still in the wrong order. But, yeah, the diff is a bit smaller now. So, oh, we've got two. But we only need to look. We only need to look at known placement. We only need to do known placements. Okay. None. If placement state dot status equals known. I suppose. Can we do this? Can we not do this? What's the problem? Do we not have EQ? No, we don't have EQ. There we go. So now what? Now they should just be in the wrong order, but they should be the right amount, I think. Yes, now there's the right amount, but they're in the wrong order. So, you know, do we care about the order here? Is our test expectation wrong? I mean, we could add them in the other order, I suppose. So, I mean, do we want them in that order? Placement not assigned to a phase is actually more important than the other one. In fact, I think the test is wrong. Or is it? Placement has not been assigned to a phase, no. And then a part has not been assigned to feeder. No, that is the order we want them in, I think. I don't think it matters very much, mind you. We could define a sort of report order and specify the order. Not sure. I mean, we could say the report issues is these issues and then extend these issues with this. Let's do that. Let's do that. Do it like that. That should fix it, right? Right. Oh, it didn't fix it. I thought that would fix it. Okay. No. Because this is supposed to be first. You sort of want to... What do we want to do here? What else can we do? Do we want to insert all of the things in front of it? I mean, we could insert them all. Yeah. not really finding a useful method which would let me insert another vector at the start of the first one. It's like you want to get one and then extend it the other way around, really, don't you? But I don't really want to say placement issues extend with issues, because that wouldn't be right. Sorting it might be the right option, really. Let's try sorting it. Let's be specific. Report dot issues dot sort and then you go A, B, I suppose. And then if we go ordering equal here, then they should come out the same way, right? It should compile. Yeah. Fine. We know it's going to be the wrong order still because we haven't done anything. It's fine. So we said we want one thing before the other. If issues.kind it's sort of like you need the keys for the enum thing. I don't know. I'm not really sure of a good way of doing this. Oh, if a dot kind what are we doing here? I suppose we can match a dot kind a. I suppose a. Well, how do we do this? A, comma B. I don't know. What do we write here? We said we want the unassigned placements first. I don't know. Is this the best way of doing this? Oh, yeah. Oh. That's better. We have to give a reference to these, I suppose. And then I suppose we want so if they're the same kind and they're equal, If one is one kind and the other is not the same kind, then it's less. And if one is this and it's this, then it's ordering greater, perhaps? Maybe? No. Thought it was going to be that. Oh, it was that, but one of the severities is wrong. We've got a severe instead of warning. A placement has not been assigned to a phase. Is that what we said we want? What did we say we want? Yeah, it is supposed to be a warning here. There we go. Ta-da! It passes. I'm not entirely sure about this. It's sort of like you want the enum ordering the. It's got a name, hasn't it? The ordinal of the enum, but you sort of do and you don't, because you don't really want to be specifying the, or depending on the ordinal of the issue kind. Because that could then be used for multiple purposes instead of just for the display of the project report. So this is probably sort of where it needs to be done. I'm not sure about the implementation here, but you know, it does indeed work. I suppose we could, you know, this method is massive at the moment. We're going to refactor it. I suppose we could just quickly extract this, couldn't we? Project report sort issues. Fine. Let's say factor method. Yeah. I'll come back to that, the other ones later. So you give it a project, you find some placement issues. Seems alright. Ah. I think we can get rid of them. Yep. Okay, cool. Alright, sweet. Okay, let's do a commit. Right, so create issue when placement is not assigned. Right. Shit, didn't there? Oh, yeah. Right, we've got a placement status, it's fine. Find placement issues, sort issues, add them to the report. Yeah, Dunsky. Dunsky do. Alright. We can get rid of this now. Right, what else have we got to do? What did we say? So we've done that one. We've done that one. But we haven't done these ones yet. Not done these ones yet. Okay. Oh, it's getting hot here. I feel like I might need a break. The problem with these ones is that until we generate the report, which is the last step of our sequence, if you remember from the tests over here, until we run the sequence, but the generate artifacts is at the end of the sequence, there's nothing that will create these issues. So we'd have to add some more generate artifacts at sort of each of the phases of each of these sort of like parts to the sequence, which might not be a hideous idea, but it might not be a hideous idea. Let's contemplate doing that for a moment. So if we updated the sequence 1 to run 2 commands instead of 1, the first would be to create the job, and the second one would be to generate artifacts. Right, so at the moment we've got this command. We'd have to create another one. And we'd have to add some more args. And I'm not sure it's a good idea, you know. And then we'd have to add what the report would look like at each stage, which would involve sort of doing this kind of thing at each stage, and then also the assertion of the report at each stage, which probably would make this test very unwieldy. It feels to me like it, you know, it might be useful, but perhaps it's better done at a unit test level. Let's think about that. So how could we test that at a unit test level? We've basically got this generate report thing, right? Where you give it a project. And it would probably be easier to just call this method repeatedly with different projects for the different, you know, failure scenarios. Yeah. That's probably the way to do it. It's probably the way to do it. Yeah, I can have a crack at doing that. Right. I'm going to take a break, guys. Yeah, so we'll leave that there today. I'll probably add some unit tests for the additional errors that we've got, the additional issues that we want to create. These ones. See how that goes, rather than updating the massive sequence functional test, which is already large. And then what would be next after that? Let's have a quick look at that. So yeah, run phase and record the placements that have been phased. Record the placements which have been placed, and then we'll have that other status that we said, which is this mid-job status thing, right? So perhaps we'll tackle that in the next stream. Yeah, okay. So just remember, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out on the next one. See ya.